Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Celeste, for that warm introduction. We are so excited to be here with all of you today and participating in this virtual conference. I don't know about you, but the morning sessions have already energized me. Listening in and looking at the website, it's just been great. So I hope you all have had an engaging morning so far as well. With me today is Cornelia Taylor, our research director. She'll be, do you want to
Hi.
wait? Okay. She'll be helping to man the chat and offer support as we work through a hands-on session today. But I also have two of our other team members with us as well, who will also be monitoring the chat, and that's Sean Kaplan, our training manager,
Good morning, everyone.
in the beautiful field of daffodils, and Justin Picard, our senior research associate, in his Zen office space. So this is just part of our fantastic team at the DR Access Project, and we're so glad to have so many of us here today and so many of you joining us. So just as a really brief sort of warm up, I think this is everyone's first breakout session, right? Because we were in the general session keynote. So this is just a fun little word search. So let your eyes wander over the word search and what are the first words that you see? And you can just type those into chat. What's jumping out at you today? What's calling you? Ooh, alignment and patience, gratitude, confidence, wealth and success. Wonderful. It's interesting. Some of the longer words really jumped out at folks. Thrive. Oh, Cornelia, you found sight in there. Excitement. Excellent. So let those be maybe the words that are calling to you today, and hopefully give you energy or clarity or excitement in your experiences today, both with the conference and I'm sure many of you are multitasking and trying to also do some work at the same time. So a little bit about the agenda today. We're going to walk through three key things. First, we're going to talk a little bit about the DRDP and what it's used for. Just make sure everyone's grounded in the same orientation around the DRDP. Then we're going to talk about how the DRDP is used to calculate child outcome scores for indicator 7 for the SPP annual performance report. Then we're going to have an opportunity for you all to understand how to access your local results and how to take a look at that data and dig into it a little bit. So we'll have a little hands-on time later where you'll get to be in a little breakout and take a look at your results and just notice things. Okay. So I think, yes, I'm going to go ahead and put that up. Okay. So typically when we do a session like this, since we're looking at your local data, it is really helpful for us to know what LEA you represent. So if it's not too much trouble, if you can add that information to your name, then as we're having conversations or trying to support you find your information, finding your data, then we can see your name and at the LEA you're from, and we'll be able to help a little bit. There's so many of us here, as I mentioned, supporting in the call, but we're not too large of a group. So I do welcome you to not only post to chat, but if you'd like to raise your hand or come off mute, we are also open to that. And please just do let us know if you need ASL interpretation to share. Please just type in the chat and our moderators will make sure we can pin you so that our interpreters can see you and interpret for your questions or comments. Okay? All right. Okay, so let's do a quick DRDP overview. So the DRDP is the instrument that's used in the state of California to measure child progress for young children. 0 to 5. It's also the requirement in the state to measure progress for children with IEPs and IFSPs. It's an authentic assessment, which means it's meant to be used to observe children in their natural environments, doing natural activities and routines and behaviors. And you're able to establish where the child is at on a developmental continuum in their natural space. So that's the instrument that's used in the state. So what do we use the DRDP data for? So for those of you in the room who complete the DRDP on a regular basis and turn your data in twice a year, that data is rolled up for federal reporting. And that's really what we're focusing on today, is looking at your indicator 7 results. So we take that data and we report annually to the Office of Special Education Programs around how children in the state are making progress who have IEPs and IFSPs. The CDE, Special Education Division, also reviews those indicator 7 results by LEA for program accountability. So you'll note that starting in 2019, districts were identified for preschool intensive monitoring, and the indicator 7 data combined with indicator 6 data is used for that information. We also promote using your outcomes data for program improvement. And that's really what we're going to talk a bit about today in this mini little dig into your data. How can you use this information to look at how your program is serving young children over time and identify areas where you might invest additional resources to make improvements to support children and families in your program? Lastly, the DRDP, not specifically the outcomes data that we're looking at today, but the individual DRDP ratings and child reports can be used by teachers to plan instructional practices and what they're going to do with kids in the classroom, as well as identify additional supports or areas of focus for specific children. So the DRDP really has a wide utility across from federal reporting all the way down to more local accountability and impact on instruction and planning. Okay. All right. So today we want to dig into the indicator 7 data that's used for federal reporting and then district and SELPA level reporting. So let's talk a little bit about what indicator 7 is. So indicator 7, labeled preschool outcomes, is the indicator of the state performance plan annual performance report that covers 3 different outcome areas. Outcome area A looks at positive social emotional skills, including social relationships for young children, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. Outcome area B focuses on knowledge and skills, and outcome area C it's the use of appropriate behaviors to meet needs. I'll give you a more broad overview as we kind of lay out each element. So how does the DRDP connect to these 3 different areas that OSEP would like us to measure? So here's a nice diagram that shows you the domains of the DRDP on the left. So the first one, ATL reg, REG, represents approaches to learning self-regulation. Combined with SED, or social emotional development, those 2 domains are joined to roll up and give us the scores around outcome area A. And then you can see as you move down the diagram, we combine language, literacy, and math to roll up to outcome area B, and physical development and health to roll out to outcome area C. So that is how the actual measures within the instrument lead to the scores that we're able to use for indicator 7. So what kiddos are included in indicator 7 reporting? Okay, so I talked about at the beginning that the DRDP is required for young children with IEPs and IFSPs. So for purposes of indicator 7, we are just focused in on preschool age children, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. So sort of not thinking of not thinking of infants and toddlers during this presentation. Infants and toddlers are reported in as part of indicator 3 for part C. And there's also some elements there, but today we're focusing in on indicator 7. So any child that's 3, 4, or 5 years old that has an IEP in the state of California must be assessed twice a year. Now, if that child's turning 6, anytime within the academic year, then they do not need a DRDP. Our cutoff dates are November 1st for the fall and April 1st for the spring. So if you're thinking about, locally the kiddos that you're assessing, these are the basic requirements for the DRDP. So who's included in the actual report? So the indicator 7 report only includes children who exited within that academic year. So that's quite different than the other indicators. Each indicator is a little bit different, but it's important to hold and remember that indicator 7 does not include all children you served in an academic year. It's only those that exited, okay? In addition, when the child exited, they would have needed to have 2 DRDPs in order to be included in the indicator 7 report. And that is because indicator 7 measures progress. And if you don't have 2 assessments, you can't measure progress, okay? So this will become important as we kind of walk through the system and you start looking at your data and thinking, is all of it here? Are all the kids, do I have all of the data? So just, it's important for you to understand who's included in that report, okay? Reasons children may have exited. We get a lot of questions about this. So it's good to clarify. If a child, first and foremost, if a child turns 6 or transitioned into first grade or, out of the program, they would be an exiter. Okay, that is the most common reason for exiting in the state. Other reasons might be that they're no longer eligible for special education services. Perhaps they moved out of the state, or perhaps the family decided not to continue with special education services. But a child who may be turning 6, but continuing special education services is still an exiter if they turn 6. So sometimes we have confusion like the child's transitioning, but they're continuing with special ed. They're still considered an exiter for indicator 7 if they've aged out or moved on to a grade that's not included, like first grade. Okay, so I hope that's clear. I am not monitoring chat, my team is, but team, if there's anything you need me to stop, just, Cornelia, you just raise your hand and we can go to questions. Okay, Sean, you too, thank you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how we actually measure progress using the DRDP. So I mentioned that in order to be included in indicator 7 reporting, you have to have an entry assessment and an exit assessment. Okay, so let's imagine we have a student that exited this year or last year in the 23-24 academic year. We would go find their earliest assessment in preschool, and we go find their latest assessment in preschool. Sometimes that's within 1 year, sometimes it might be over 2 or 3 years, depending on how long the child has received services. And so we grab those 2 DRDPs, entry and exit. For the entry point, we identify if the child is not close or at age expectations. So we say, where was this student when they entered? Not close or at age expectations. Then we take a look at where they were at when they exited, not close or at age expectations. And then we're able to determine a trajectory of their progress from the time that they entered preschool special education services and the time that they exited. So these are the categories that the Office of Special Education Programs provides to all states, that helps us categorize progress for children. So it's not important that you know every nuance of every one of these categories, but I do want to help you get a sense of what that progress looks like on a trajectory for kiddos over time. So, for example, a child who might have their DRDP ratings marked as category A, did not improve functioning, would be a child who was rated not at age expectations when they entered, and were also not at age expectations when they exited. This is a very small percentage of children in the state that fall into this category, and it would likely be a very small percentage in your LEA. But nonetheless, that's a child who doesn't make any significant progress from the time they enter to the time they exit. The middle three categories, well, let's talk about B and C, are both representative of children who came in below or not at age expectations and did make progress by the time they exited. However, their progress did not reach the level of same age peers, which is this higher line, D and E. So the D category represents kids who came in maybe close to age expectations or below and made significant enough progress to reach that of same age peers. Category E are children who came in at age expectations and exited at age expectations. Yes, that does happen for children who are receiving special education services. In fact, it is common, and it doesn't nevertheless disqualify them from needing special education services. Okay, so those are the progress categories. So once we label progress for children for their entry and exit assessments, then we can take that data and create summary statements or a percentage, okay? So remember we had three outcome areas, right? A, B, and C, social, emotional, knowledge and skills, behaviors. Okay, so we have those three outcome areas. Now we have two summary statements under each. So you get a total of 6 percentages or results for indicator 7. And you'll see that when we take a look at the dashboard. So it'll come to life when you get to look at your own data. But summary statement 1 focuses on children who made substantial progress from the time they entered to the time they exited. So the denominator for summary statement 1 is only children who came in below age expectations. So you're only looking, if you back up one screen, at the kiddos who made substantial progress, but only in these 4 categories, A, B, C, and D. As opposed to summary statement 2 is all kids who exited in that year. So it's your entire population of exiters for that year and how many of those children reached age expectations by the time they exited. So summary statement 1 and summary statement 2 are different and they have different denominators. The denominator of summary statement 2 is all kids, and then summary statement 1 is a subset of that group. Okay? So just, I know it's a lot of math I'm throwing at you, early on a Thursday morning, but hopefully it'll start to flow a little bit as we transition into our system where you can look at your data. So that's what I'm going to do now. Are there any, should I pause for a minute for any questions?
And
Okay.
Elizabeth, I popped into the chat the link to the worksheet that we have, and Celise popped in the SPPI guide. And if people scroll to page 33 of that guide, It is a little handout that tells you about the outcomes, the progress categories, and the summary statements. So two different things that are doing something similar, but so people
But
should pull those
really,
up if they're still confused.
okay, those are really helpful resources. And like Cornelia said, I know that was a lot. Indicator 7 is a complex indicator. And so both of those handouts will support additional understanding of what's represented there. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so now we're going to move over to the DR Access Outcome System. And Justin has gone ahead and pasted the link to the system. Is everyone seeing that on the screen, DR Access Outcomes? Sean, yeah, okay, great. So this is our system that we launched in, I believe, May of 2016 to make indicator results available at the state, district, and SELPA levels, okay? So you don't need a username or password to access the system. You'll see
Sorry,
this diagram.
Elizabeth, we're seeing the outcomes page on our website with the video.
Yes,
Okay,
good.
good.
That's what I want.
Okay.
Thanks. And so this should be familiar, this diagram, you know, from the slides we just presented, but this is where you'll go to take a look at your data. You're going to actually go right here to the results button in the middle, or start here to search results. I'm going to go ahead and click results, and you can see that you can view the state results, SELPA, or district. Okay. I'm going to start with state to just walk you through what you're seeing on the screen, and then we'll take just a quick look at a SELPA or district, but it's all laid out so it's the same really at every level. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click submit just for the current year, but we have 12 years of data available here. One of the screens you'll look at is multi-year data, so don't worry about having to print for each year. You'll see it on your report. So I'm going to go ahead and click submit for the state level results. And the first thing you see is the dashboard. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll down, try to fit that all in one page. So remember how I said 3 outcome areas, A, B, and C. Remember how I said 2 summary statements, 1 and 2. So 2 times 3 is 6. So you have 6 results. Recall how I also said you'll have a different group of children included in your Exeter group for summary statement 1 than in your summary statement 2 group. So let's talk about California. California in the 23-24 academic year had, you know, well over 21,000 Exeters, okay, from, you know, early childhood special education services, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. At the time, we didn't have T, K, and K in that year. So this just represents preschool children for 23-24. A smaller subset of the 21,000, so in this case, you know, over 6,500 children entered below age expectations. And that's why summary statement 1 has a slightly different Exeter number. It's just a subset of all the children who exited that year. You can take a look across the results for the state. So just for example, outcome area A, the state is not meeting targets, which is why it's in orange at 67.35%. You can also see in this little line graph next to it that the orange lines are below the purple lines. The purple line is the state target, but they are meeting target for summary statement 2 for all Exeters at 81.87%. And you can see that again in the line chart. You can also see that we include a comparison to the California actual. They're all zeros on this page because we're looking at California, but you'll see on the SELPA and district page, it can be really helpful to look at how you're doing relative to the state targets as well as relative to the state actual. Because as you can see, we as a state don't always meet targets either, right? So it's like, how are we doing related to the state? Okay, so you can just kind of glance down. In general, the state did not meet targets in summary statement 1, but did in summary statement 2. And this is your dashboard. So then you want to dive in a little bit deeper. So you would click on the detail by year tab, and you would now see for each outcome area, right? There's a tab for each outcome area, A, B, and C, the last 12 years of data for your SELPA, and a line graph depicting how that trajectory has changed. So we can see that in California, for children who entered below age expectations in social emotional development, a trajectory that's moved up over the years, dipped, moved up, dipped, and you can kind of take a look at how things have changed. Same with summary statement 2 for all children who exited. You can take a look at how that trajectory has progressed over the last 12 years across the state. You can also see how the target, the purple line, has changed over time. We have some reflection questions that will give you to use in your breakout, but also take with you back home to have these discussions perhaps with your team when you take a look at this data. But one of the things I just want to zero in, that's always important to reflect on is how these exeter counts have changed over the years. We can see at the state there's been quite a fluctuation in children enrolled and children exiting, not surprisingly with a significant decrease during the COVID years, with a pattern of increase since, right? That might be the same for your LEA, it may be different, but it's something to just think about as you're looking at trends in your data. Same for exiters. We've seen a significant decrease in the number of children who are entering below age expectations in the state. And it's a pattern for us to consider and think about. And you will have those same thoughts as you're looking at your local data. So that's the detail by year page. I would then encourage everyone to move through each outcome area B, and then C, and just take a look at your trajectories and patterns over time. And again, we'll provide you with some questions, but you can think about like, boy, our trajectory is really not looking good in social emotional development. I wonder what's going on there. Let's look a little bit closer at that data. One of the other tabs that's available at the state level only is detail by disability category. Because the child counts get so small at the district and SELPA level, we can't include this at the district or SELPA level, but I just wanted to make you aware that if you are interested in taking a look at child outcomes by disability category over time, this information is available to you on the state level page. Lastly, there's also a tab detail by SELPA. And this is a comparison or a look at all of the data for all of the SELPAs across the state. Blue being where the target's being met, and it sort of points out where different SELPAs are doing well, etc. So let's take a quick look at more local results so that you can find your results, which is what you're going to do in just a couple of minutes. So I'm going to click on results again. If you're a SELPA, let's see, did folks add that to their names just to see? SELPA, got some districts, Fresno Unified's here, LAUSD, that's great. San Jose County Office of Ed, okay, great. So I'll show you actually how to look up by district, okay? If you'd like to drill down and perhaps choose your district first, and then see a smaller list of the districts within your SELPA, that's fine. You can do that. Or I find it easiest to just start typing, right, in the district box to bring up a district, okay? I'm just going to pick one at random and hope that we've got good child counts on this district that I'll have data to look at. So I'm going to go ahead and click submit. Great. We do have some large child counts on this district, so that's great. And it also is a good opportunity for me to mention, if you pull up your data and you have fewer than 10 kiddos in the cell count, you can't see your, we won't be able to display your data. However, Justin Picard is on the call specifically to help with this. So if you are in a small district and cannot see your data, please chat either directly with Justin or just put it into chat, need report 4, Milpitas Unified. Great. So Justin will help you, Nicole, and get you your report. So anybody who needs, you have a small one, we can pull it for you on the back end and share it with you through chat. Okay, great. So now we're taking a look at a district. You can see the dashboard is exactly the same, right, as the state dashboard. So that's great. And you can see where they're meeting targets and perhaps where they're not meeting targets. And now you can see the difference from the target as well as the California actual. On the district page, you have the detail by year, okay? And then you also have a print function. So if you're thinking about sharing this report, taking it to a meeting, or you want to email it out to your leadership team or key stakeholders, the print PDF includes the dashboard as well as the detailed screens for each one of the outcome areas. So that's a real nice resource that you can just download and shoot out if you need it. Okay. All right. Our folks, thanks, Celise. Do folks have questions about the system? Because the next thing we're going to do is just break into some small groups and give you the opportunity to kind of play around, look at your data, and just talk to one another about what you see. And maybe what you don't understand, or, you know, what's a struggle, what you not totally sure about. So is anybody having trouble with that? Okay.
And then Elizabeth, I just wanted to share about, did we explain district of accountability versus district of residence and the impact on county offices of ed?
A good point. So for indicator 7 reporting, CDE uses the district of accountability for this reporting. So if you happen to be in a county office of ed that serves potentially a lot of kiddos that are accountable back maybe in their home district, you might have limited view of that data in this system. Okay. So that's one of the challenges. It's actually one of the things we're also working on the back end to be able to kind of toggle between district of accountability and district of service. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Lise. Okay. I will post, or perhaps somebody already posted our handout about the reflection questions. It was in the handouts on the website, you know, already in the conference website. Are you guys seeing this reflection questions on the screen? Okay, great.
But maybe
So,
zoom in, Elizabeth.
Right, okay. Okay, so what we thought, and you do not have to go through these meticulously, no one's being graded. We'd like you to head off into some small groups if someone's willing to share their screen, or, you know, perhaps you just each want to be looking at the outcome system for your district and just sort of talking about what you're noticing about your district. But maybe reflect on, where are we doing well? You know, where maybe does it look like we're not doing so well, or maybe our trajectory is not headed in the right direction? Have we changed over time? Have there been significant increases over time? And so just first impressions. What do we notice about our data? Second, thinking about things like the number of exiters. Do we think that's representative of how many kiddos we had exit last year? Do we think we're getting all of our data? Do we think that maybe if there's an area we're low in, we might want to consider additional supports or additional needs or training or other elements that might support improvement in that area? So just let your conversations go wherever they may. But we wanted to give you some questions that might help direct you. So there is a handout there. Okay, great. It looks like it was posted. So we're just going to send you off into some breakout groups, and then we're also going to bounce around into the breakout groups. So if you need any technical support, we'll be popping in to just answer any questions or get you what you need. But we're just going to do this for 15 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set my timer. And Celeste, if you wouldn't mind. So what came out of your conversations? Any highlights that folks would just like to share, or questions or ahas that came out of your discussions? It went so fast. I think one of the things we talked about in our group with Heidi, Marie, Denise, and Alyssa is that it's hard to know with big data like this, right? What can be attributed to the trends, the changes. And so we have a larger data dig experience that we offer, and will likely offer again in the fall. We encourage you to bring a team of people together to have that discussion across early childhood services, so that you have different settings and agencies, depending on where you're serving kids, represented, to have those broader conversations about what might, and it's very hard. We're not looking to pinpoint exact reasons. That's very difficult with higher aggregated data. But it's really about looking at trends and trajectories over time and thinking about what that means for you locally. But you've got to have the local voices in the history to know what you've been doing to make change. Are there other thoughts or questions? We just want to thank you so much for being with us today. Our project, this was just a little tidbit of work we do. We have so many wonderful resources at our website, draccess.org, and we have a wonderful support team available at info or 1-800. So if you're working through this and want to explore this more, or child reports or any other resources, please reach out to our team, and we would love to be there to support you.